Then you're going to take 2 safety pins and then take your project. In my case, this is the Edna top, and then you're going to secure the elastic on each side of the top. And I want mine just about here, where my decrease row is. Just make sure that it's on the same side of the row. And it's also a good idea to make sure it is straight. Okay. And now take your yarn and make sure that you have some extra yarn at the end, because we need some at the end to sew the elastic in place. And then make a slip knot. I have a 5mm hook. You can also use a 4mm hook, depends on the yarn, but I like to use a smaller one for the elastic part. And then you're just going to start here from the right side where you attached the elastic and make a slip stitch into the side here, and then chain 1. And now you're just going to crochet around the elastic. So you just pretend that there's a row down here with stitches. So you go under the elastic as though you're going into a stitch, and then grab the yarn and pull under, and then grab the yarn and pull through. This way you have secured the elastic, and you're making sure that you're crocheting around it. And this is just what you're gonna continue to do until you have covered the entire elastic. Of course, you can also make other stitches. I want to make single crochet because I find that they are the right height for this type of elastic, but it depends on what kind of elastic you're using. If you have smaller elastic, you can use smaller stitches or smaller hook or smaller yarn, and vice versa. So I'll come back once this whole elastic is covered. So the more stitches you make, the more ruffled it's gonna be. To make sure that it's covered, you can take the stitches and then pull them so that they're distributed over the elastic. And what you also have to keep in mind is that when you're wearing it, or maybe when you're putting the top on, it's gonna stretch. So depending on how many stitches you have, the elastic is gonna be more visible if you have fewer stitches. I made 25, and I don't mind if the elastic is a little bit visible. I will rather have the strap to be straight and not ruffled. If you want to make sure that you can't see the elastic, just make more stitches and make it more ruffled. And now just finish it in the opposite side, and then go into the stitch and make a slip stitch. And then chain 1, break off the yarn, but leave a long yarn end. And I'm just leaving just one of the strands because I'm not going to be able to sew with all of these strands. Okay. And of course make sure the elastic is straight. Now you're just going to take your needle and put the yarn through the needle. And if the yarn is too thick or the needle is too small, you can also just use regular sewing thread. The most important is just that we want to secure the elastic so that it doesn't go anywhere. So make sure that the elastic is straight. And then you're just gonna go through the elastic with your needle. And then you can remove the safety pin. And now just make sure that you cover the end of the elastic as much as you can with the stitches. And then you're basically just gonna sew through the elastic. There's not really any right way to do it. You can go through the same area, the end of the elastic, and then just go into the stitches. Or you can go a little bit further into the elastic and then just kind of skip one of the loops and go into the elastic again, and then up on the same side so that it is invisible on the front. So just into the elastic and then up through the stitches. We're just gonna do this a few times because we want to make sure that it's secured properly. And then of course use your yarn end while you're at it and weave in this yarn end. And that is one side of the top. And now of course you're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. Another thing you can also do with the yarn end when you're sewing the elastic in place is that you can use it to cover the elastic. If there's areas where you can't cover with the stitches, you can just take the yarn and just go around it like this and just not tighten it too much, and make a loop like this so that you kind of create more stitches with the yarn end. And now I just have to weave in the ends and then I'm done. And here is the finished result. I hope you liked this video. Remember to give it a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you for watching.